Alright, we're going to practice for the IA tomorrow. Again, make sure you pause the video whenever it's a good time to annotate. Tomorrow on the test, you can pause the video whenever you want to stop and annotate on your page. How a flamingo balances on one leg. These extreme bird balancers stay upright with little muscle effort, by Susan Milius. Flamingos are well known for their tendency to stand on only one of their legs. But how do they do it? In this informational text, Susan Milius discusses scientific studies that help answer this question. As you read, take notes on how scientists study flamingos' ability to balance on one leg. Paragraph 1. Why do flamingos stand on one leg? Flamingo researchers get asked this question all the time. But why flamingos ever bother standing on two may be the bigger puzzle, new research suggests. Flamingos have balance aids built into their bodies, the new study finds. That lets them stand on one leg with little muscle effort. The stance is so stable that a bird sways less to stay upright when it appears to be dozing than when it's awake. Most of us aren't aware that we're moving around all the time, says Lena Tinge of Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. Just to keep our body standing up, we have to sense our position constantly and use our muscles to correct wobbles. Tinge studies this movement, called postural sway, in people and other creatures. Even standing robots are expending quite a bit of energy, Tinge says. Flamingos look relaxed when they stand, but they might be working hard to stay upright too, she points out, since limiting sway isn't always easy to see. Tinge and Young Wei Zhang of the Georgia Institute of Technology, also in Atlanta, tested balance in Chilean flamingos. These animals reside at Zoo Atlanta. Zookeepers there coax fluffy young birds onto a platform. It was attached to an instrument that measured how much the birds swayed. The researchers especially wanted to study birds sleeping on one leg, so the zoo let the scientists visit after feeding time. That way they might catch young birds ready to nap. Patience, Tinge says, was the key to her team's success. As a bird stood on one foot, the instrument tracked changes in the foot's center of pressure, the spot over which the bird's weight was focused. This spot wobbled around as a bird shifted to preen its feathers or look at a neighbor. But once a bird tucked its head onto a pillowy back and shut its eyes, the center of pressure made smaller changes. When birds were dozing, their center of pressure moved within a radius of 3.2 millimeters on average. That center of pressure expanded to 5.1 millimeters when birds were active. Okay, make sure you have 3 to 4 annotations on this first page before we move on. You can pause the video if you need to add more. It's okay if you don't finish today. It is just practice. The researchers also studied flamingo skeletons in a museum. They saw features of the skeleton that might make birds more stable. Still, bones didn't tell the whole story. Researchers learned more from the whole bodies of a few dead Caribbean flamingos that a zoo had donated to them. The aha moment was when I said, wait, let's look at it in a vertical position, Tinge remembers. All of a sudden, the bird specimen settled naturally into a one-legged lollipop stance. There was no way a dead bird could be putting muscle effort into keeping that position. So the body must have some built-in ways to hold this stance without effort. A flamingo's hip and knee sit high up inside its body. What bends in the middle of the long flamingo leg is not a knee, but an ankle. That explains why, to human eyes, a flamingo leg looks like it bends the wrong way. Tinge didn't find anything that locks the leg bones upright. She did, however, see other features of the skeleton that might help flamingos stand steadily. How the bird distributed its weight also seemed important for one-footed balance. The flamingo's center of gravity was close to the inner knee. That's where the bone starts to form the long column to the ground. This made the shaky-looking one-leg nap actually stable. In fact, tests with dead birds showed the body was floppier and less stable when researchers fastened it upright on 2 legs instead of 1. The researchers reported their findings May 24th in Biology Letters. Reinhold Necker is cautious about saying the one-legged stance saves energy until researchers discover more. The authors do not consider the retracted leg, says Necker. at Ruhr University in Bochum, Germany. He has written about one-legged standing in birds. He says keeping one flamingo leg tucked up might take some energy, even if easy balancing saves some. Tinge thinks flamingos might have some special energy-saving way of holding up that other leg. The question needs more research. The new study helps researchers understand how flamingos stand on one leg. Still, it doesn't explain why they do it, says Matthew Anderson. He's a comparative psychologist at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He's found that more flamingos rest on one leg when temperatures drop, so he thinks that keeping warm might have something to do with it. The mystery of flamingos, in other words, still stands. All right, we are going to practice writing a genre-based thinking job for our IA tomorrow. So first decide if this passage is fiction or nonfiction. After you've decided that, look at the posters in the room to see which genre-based thinking job you're going to use. Pause the video and write your genre-based thinking job in the blank space on this paper. Once you're finished reading and annotating and writing a genre-based thinking job, we can start on the questions. Tomorrow you'll be graded on your testing strategies, process of elimination, WHAM, and tagging your evidence when you look back into the text. I'm going to read the question and you can pause the video whenever you want to use a testing strategy. Number 1, Part A. Which statement best expresses the central idea of the text? A. Studies have revealed that flamingos' skeletal structure and how they hold their weight contribute to their amazing balance. B. Scientists have studied flamingos' balance in order to explore improving the balance of robots. C. While scientists are unclear about how flamingos balance on one leg, they know it is to save energy. D. Scientists have answered the question of why and how flamingos stand on one leg by studying dead birds. Number 2 is Part B. It says which 2 details from the text best support the answer to Part A. So you have to pick 2 pieces of evidence that support whatever answer you chose up here. A. The stance is so stable that a bird sways less to stay upright when it appears to be dozing than when it's awake. B. Even standing robots are expending quite a bit of energy, Tinge says. Flamingos look relaxed when they stand. C. Tinge didn't find anything that locks the leg bones upright. She did, however, see other features of the skeleton that might help flamingos stand steadily. D. The flamingo's center of gravity was close to the inner knee. That's where the bone starts to form the long column to the ground. E. Tinge thinks flamingos might have some spatial energy-saving way of holding up that other leg. The question needs more research. F. He's found that more flamingos rest on one leg when temperatures drop, so he thinks that keeping warm might have something to do with it. This has a lot of options, so pause and look at them again if you need to. Number 3. How do paragraphs 1 through 8 contribute to the development of ideas in the text? This one, you need to go back and look at paragraphs 1 through 8, so go ahead and pause the video and find them in your passage and then read them. A. They describe flamingos' amazing balance before comparing it to other animals' balance. B. They describe scientists' study of flamingos' balance before their related findings from it. C. They discuss the mysteries that remain about flamingos' one-legged stance before explaining what is known. D. They discuss why flamingos stand on one leg before explaining the details about how they stand on one leg. Number 4. What is the author's main purpose in this text? A, to emphasize what we can learn from flamingos' balance. B, to share new information about flamingos and questions that remain. C, to prove that flamingos stand on one leg to stay warm. D, to show the observation techniques scientists use to study animals. Once you finish, remember to check for annotations, genre-based thinking job, and testing strategies.